Welcome to the First and Inches podcast, where every play counts and every take hits hard. Right. David is repping the dynasty that is the Kansas City Chiefs. George bleeds black and gold for Steeler Nation, and AP is still waiting on the Vikings to show up in February. We're breaking down the biggest stories in football, baseball, and anything in between. We're calling it like we see it, and no fan base is safe. Touchdown! This is the First and Inches podcast.
Are you ready for some football?
We're ready for some football, baby.
What is up? Welcome back. This is Jorge. This is the First and Inches podcast. How's everybody doing? Wait, sorry. This is Jorge.
This is Hooks.
All day, AP.
Man, it has been an awesome week. A lot going on. And I didn't expect there to be this much. Listen, I don't remember this much going on in last year's winter meetings. So
yeah,
I know that right out of the gate, we need to talk about the MLB Winter Meetings. So,
hey,
what is top of mind for you guys?
Where is it next year?
You know, that's a great question. I don't even know.
I'm committed to going wherever it's at. We'll take our podcast there. If Adam goes, cool. But I'm going next year.
If you're saying what's on our mind, I think you're right. There's a lot to digest, Jorge. There was a lot that went on. 3 major signings that happened, the Rule 5 draft. But before we get into those specific deals, can you tell us a little bit, like, what's the vibe like there? What's the like, you know, how is it really like having these meetings at the bar, you know, or, you know, how do the people go about things? That's what I'm interested to know.
Yeah. So, you know, when they talk about these things, they say, oh, everybody in the industry is there.
Yeah.
Every team, every scout, all in one place. Now, you know, most of the meetings are closed off to the public. You can't really go in to where the teams are, where the scouts meet. Media has specific access to some areas, and those people will go to those areas to interact with the media. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I see different. In Dallas, even, you know, last year, there were not as many people out and about having conversations, doing media appearances, you know, making deals and doing things like that. Here, however, there's a little bit less access in Florida than there was in Dallas in terms of access to, you know, from the media to managers, players, you know, agents, things like that. However, the specifically agents and even players and other representatives from the teams, managers and all that, we're walking around a lot more. We're having more out and about conversations with people. So there was more interaction from those executives that normally you didn't really get to see very much before. I don't know if you saw some of the pictures I sent you. I mean, general managers from Cincinnati, you know, was there, assistant GM from the Mets, the Scott Boras of the world, including Scott Boras himself. I tell you, man, like, when Scott Boras is walking around the halls with his entourage, it's like this aura that just takes over the whole area. Everybody, I mean, they understand who the guy is, right? But he still commands this attention and he controls the room, even though the room itself, where the media was, goes from the Astoria to the Signia Hotel, which is like 150 yards. And the dude everybody stops, like, whoa, here comes his team. It's pretty cool to see. But the guy is just as personable as he can be, not just with the media, but just people in general as he's walking by. So that was pretty cool. Now, there are areas where the media has to have credentials to be able to sit and wait for managers to come, things like that. In Dallas, some of those areas were open, so even fans could attend those things. So I think it was a little bit more restricted here in Florida. I think it went well. I think there's enough space within those 2 hotels where they had it, and it was successful. It was more spread out than it was at the Anatoly in Dallas last year. So I kind of liked it a little bit more. And the fact that more executives were walking around talking to people, it just made for a better atmosphere and more energy, than there was in previous years. So it was pretty cool.
So I always envisioned things happening. It's interesting that you say that everyone's super transient there. I always envisioned it, like there might be a deal that almost got pushed through, but it got closed at the hotel bar while somebody was drinking like an old fashioned or a vodka soda or something like that. And I'm sure a lot of it probably is that case. Who is, outside of Scott Boras, who was the biggest name you saw?
Biggest name?
Yeah, biggest persona. I'm talking, anybody that really commanded the room.
Well, I'll tell you what, the people that are leading the charge on expansion teams were all there, out and about.
So Nashville, right? Nashville's one.
We got Nashville. We had the
Vegas.
Orlando Dreamers, as you can imagine. They're in town, the whole shebang, just pushing their agenda. Dr. Lynn from Portland,
right?
He was out there. Now, the Dreamers in Orlando, they have, the guy that was leading the charge with the finance passed away last year. So, we thought, hey, he was going to be the president, because they have to have a president for the team in place when they submit the requests and their ideas. Well, who took over was Barry Larkin. And Barry Larkin was at the bar in my hotel. He was staying in the same hotel as me. He was at the bar till 2 a.m. So they hit the ground running, and this team is working every angle they can, just smooching everybody they can, talking to everyone they can, and pushing their agenda about bringing an expansion team to Orlando. Now, this happened 3 nights in a row, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night, where executives for every team were just out and about from early in the morning to late at night, talking to people, pushing in all in public. So I was impressed by that. Everything wasn't just behind closed door anymore. So that was pretty cool. Now, I'll tell you this, the best thing about the meetings, however, it is that all these teams and agents are in one place. So if you can think of a deal going on, if you're trying to get something done at work and you send somebody a request by email, and you have to wait for them to read it, approve it, send it back. And to get anything done, if you have 3 or 4 people involved, it might take you 3-4 days, 3-4 weeks. No, things get done there very quickly. So decisions can go from, hey, Mr. Alonso, we want you to be with the Mets. We're trying to offer you this deal. But if you take, 30 steps next door, then you go talk to the other team and see what deal they got. And within 10, 15 minutes, you can get things done. So it's pretty cool to see that.
I'd love just to hear what deals almost got done. I bring this up because you guys remember Joe Blanton, old Oakland Athletics pitcher. I know during the winter meetings one year, the deal was almost Joe Blanton for Johnny Cueto and Joey Votto, which are cornerstone Reds. I mean, nothing came of them, but those deals would be interesting to see, because it happened at the winter meetings, just how mega deals, mega signings got so close, which leads me to our next topic that I wanted to cover. What has signed? First off, Kyle Schwarber.
Real quick before we go too far, can I ask you? So the expansion Orlando team, like my question is Tampa Bay has consistently struggled to get people in the seats, and Miami has done the same thing. What would be different about Orlando, which is obviously a destination town for, kids? Like, what would make that different, where that's going to be a place that they sell 35,000, 40,000 seats every game?
Well, I'll tell you their approach, and then I'll give you my opinion. They're very different. Yeah. Their approach and their idea is, their pitch is that Orlando, from all the other cities that might be a candidate, basically has the most money and has the most people, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's a market that on paper you would think would have the best chance of supporting a team, right? Mm-hmm. However, we are well aware that Tampa doesn't sell, Miami struggles. So in my opinion, what makes you think that you can demand high ticket prices for this brand new team with no fans, right? You want these people to become fans overnight, spend all this money when they're not spending it down the road. I don't think Orlando can sustain a team as much as Oklahoma City, can sustain a team, or any other city that they talked about in years past for Major League Baseball. Because you got to have, it's not like football. Like if they throw another NFL team in Orlando, they'll sell out stadium 9 times a year, right?
Yeah.
40,000 people 9 times a year. That's no big deal. But when you're talking about 80 times, 82 times a year, and you're trying to get 30,000 people, 40,000 people into a stadium, it's not happening. At least not in Orlando, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Adam, you were going on to the players who have signed.
No, go ahead and take it, Hooks. Kyle Schwarber, what's your thoughts? 5 years going back to the Phillies?
So I'm really surprised that Tucker didn't sign before these other guys. I'm really surprised that Alonso and Schwarber signed a contract before they tried to figure out what the market was. And that's kind of a sign of a slow market to me, or that just shows us a lack of people that are after Tucker are willing to bid against Tucker.
You think it's more the length of the contract, though, that he might be demanding, as opposed to these two other guys? I think it's more so indicative of what Kyle Tucker wants. He wants this. He's younger, but he wants a longer deal, which naturally he'll get it. He's going to get it. It just depends on who's going to end up paying for it. But I think the reason why Schwarber and Alonso signed was those were quick 5-year deals on a position player in their early to mid 30s. Is it's pretty good deal. Unfortunately, while my hopes were high, the Reds didn't. But it's what the Reds said kind of bothered me. They said that their main goal was signing Kyle Schwarber, Middletown, Ohio guy, would boost ticket sales. So their whole narrative wasn't for winning, building a winner. It was actually just for ticket sales, which, all teams are like that, right? But it was more disheartening that they would put it out there that's what it was. Because, they've got a window, Ellie and Hunter Green. These are two cornerstone players that are, tops at their position. Not the top, but, premier players, and they've got a window of control. It's unfortunate that they didn't make a splash. But
I had Nick Kroll with me for maybe 45 minutes doing a panel. And I can tell you that they are committed to developing players and not winning now. My impression was on Monday, he was already defeated, right? This was Monday afternoon, and he's already talking about, not talking about how to improve the team, what our options are, what we're looking for. It was more of like, our future, our farm system, our culture, and things like that usually a team says when they're not really making moves. So I don't think you're going to see any splash moves coming from the Reds, at least this year, even at trade deadline, next year. I think that they're working for the future. The fact that they made the playoffs, he seemed to be complacent about it.
Yeah.
And just like not even that happy, like, like the season's over and we move on to the next one. I get it. You have to have that mentality because, you gotta start all over and ramp up. But it wasn't like, oh, we need to build on it, or it was a successful season based on the goals we had set for ourselves, or it wasn't. One way or another, you have to figure out, are you disappointed? Are you happy with it? Like what? Give me something. But no, I didn't get the sense that it was a big deal. We're just going to move on and work on our farm system and see what happens.
Well,
so good luck with that.
Well, before we go to a winning franchise, their CFO, the son of the majority owner, his name's Phil Castellini. He was pushed in an interview a few years back, and his response was, "Where are you going to go?" So that fits perfectly. Them prejudicing themselves to that style of business model, because their whole view is, where are you going to go? Where is the base of the Cincinnati Reds going to go? They've got an overly loyal team, fan base almost to a fault. So, and they know that, and they kind of hold the cards, and they're okay middling around where they're at.
Yeah.
But onto
Listen,
a team
man,
I
know you guys like me, and I know you guys think highly of me. But the fact that Nick, the general manager for the Reds, spent 45 minutes with me on a Monday at the winter meetings tells you that he didn't have more important things to do. Like, what the hell?
Well,
you should have had more important things to do than be talking to us.
Adam, like I don't know how. Like your Reds made the playoffs last year. Your Reds were, I mean, basically, if they got hot like the Blue Jays did, could have been in the same position. Like I mean, your
No.
hope to sign every free agent is like just like you said before. It will just they sign the wrong ones. Like you should
I don't
be,
have hope that they'll sign every free agent. I just hope that they
but
make one guy, one investment for not a Moustakas or Jamer Candelario, make an absolute investment of a guy that they could help corner their team around. So no, that's why I wanted Alonso. He seemed to be more of a fit for that team than Kyle Schwarber. I don't think the Kyle Schwarber thing is going to age well, so I was okay with it. I just hate the fact of what they said.
yeah.
And the fit for the Reds is first base, because they got good players that could play around that. But, they couldn't have caught hot like the Blue Jays. They didn't have a team that had the offense around that. Their pitching and their defense, yeah, it's up there. But no, they don't have enough hitters that could sustain a
Were
long.
you hoping, or did you really think that Alonso had a chance?
No, I
to
really
go?
thought that were going to make a surprise deal for Alonso. Absolutely.
Okay, not a single person there for 3 days mentioned the words Cincinnati Reds and Alonso within 5 minutes
No,
of each other.
I know. I thought I was holding out hope that there would be because if you read what the media says, then there is no hope, right? If you just look at how the team is ran and like what would make the most fit for that team, and assuming that they weren't okay with just being in the middle, then Alonso made the most sense. Like I said, I mean, there was perfect fits all the way around for that team.
So most people thought Alonso would go to Boston. Are you guys surprised he ends up in freaking Baltimore?
31 million a year for 5 years. I think that answers the question.
Yeah, and the anatomy of a deal is different for every player, so I'm sure he was looking for the long term.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much he cared necessarily about the dollar amount, right? Or for that matter, what division or side of the country he's in. I mean, maybe that played a part. He's from Tampa, Florida. He probably wants to stay on the East Coast and make it easier. He just got a little bit closer to, I don't even know. Is Baltimore below New York?
It's lower.
It's
But like
it's
Adam, I'm being totally serious. Like I'm sorry that my Dodgers happen to be the ones that knocked the Reds out. But like if I'd have asked Adam from 5 years ago, I've been like, hey, your Reds beat the Mets to get to the playoffs.
the Mets beat themselves, but go ahead.
Dude, Adam, you just come on, man. You got to be ecstatic that the Reds made the playoffs last year. They've got a
you can't get in the mindset of a team that is a constant loser. You like the Dodgers and the Chiefs, so you can't wrap your mind around this.
You would
I'm
not
an
understand.
Oklahoma State football fan, and I totally get the loser mindset.
Are you? I didn't see you in the stands waving your shirt this year.
Yeah.
So,
But no, because you're offset. That misery is offset with the Chiefs and Dodgers. You can't sleep in my bed. No way. You can't. So no.
It's like saying you're one of us. You drive a Rolls Royce, but you eat McDonald's every now and then. No, I don't think so. You're not one of us.
You have no idea what supper is. No.
So what's the market for Tucker or Bregman or Bichette or Bellinger?
Well, Tucker, I think, is going to get 10 years. Every year this happens, right? And they're like, no, he won't get it. Some team is going to come in and do it, right? Probably a team like the Yankees. Or it's always a surprise team. Like, what is J.J. Preller there in San Diego? They're trying to defleet almost, if you will. He'll come in, make some – like the Xander Bogaerts. Remember that? Nobody saw that deal happening. And what was it, Jorge Hooks? What was it, like 13 years or 12 years they gave Xander? Yeah. And that's aged like fucking hell. But
I hope they stop doing that.
But that is, am I not wrong? That's the kind of thing that happens. I think he gets his 9, 10 years, whatever it is. But
and the Giants have never gotten that guy. So I could see the Giants being.
Yeah, good point. Yeah,
on
the Giants could. Yeah, that'd be a good point. And a guy like Buster Posey that's running that organization right now, I mean, that seems like a pretty good fit. I read somewhere where they said they didn't think that he had the drive, that he didn't have the desire like a guy like Bellinger does. Like I saw an interview where Boris was talking like it's in his blood. and that he just wants to be out there. This Bellinger thing.
So one of our sales guys up in Kansas City, his sister is his brother-in-law is actually a trainer for the Dodgers. Yep. And in the off season, Bellinger has a deal set up to where all the players come and train there, Dodgers, non-Dodgers, and the and the whole thing is I think Bellinger would be a Dodger except for one thing, and he's a Boris guy, and Boris, as much as like if all you're worried about is money, that guy is going to be, he is who you want, but like happiness, no, he's just going to get you money.
It's going to print it for you.
Yeah. Yep. So, and the Dodgers just don't deal with him. So, I haven't heard anything about that third baseman out of Japan or the pitchers out of Japan. Have y'all heard any rumors on any of that stuff?
I did. Walk in the hallways. I'm trying to think who they said. Now, the sentiment is that he's not going to go to the Dodgers, right?
No.
And that you're not going to have very many more international players going to the Dodgers. Nobody wants that. Like, they don't want all Japan to go to the Dodgers. Dang it, I can't remember who it was. I think it was the guy from Yahoo Sports and then the guy from Fox. Both said that he was going to be, their thought was he was going to go somewhere. Somebody may have even mentioned Milwaukee, which surprised me. But maybe he'll come to the East Coast. We'll see.
It's got to be in an area where there's a high Asian population.
Yeah, Toronto would be a good spot for for that. When Ohtani had those talks, I mean, Toronto would have been a good fit for Ohtani as well. So yeah, it doesn't have to be necessarily West Coast. I just at least feel good knowing that it won't be the Dodgers.
Yeah. I don't think it's the Dodgers.
So now, what's up with this Edwin Diaz going to the Dodgers?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Speaking of Dodgers.
Oh my gosh. What? Yeah. I never really had a high opinion of him, but man, I after looking at his numbers and he's had some pretty crazy seasons. And so I think that means that Sasaki's going to go back to the starting pitching and that, but man, what a stud. And I guess the Mets fans are pissed. Like
they are, but I don't know what it is. It's got to be something that we don't know because the anatomy of a deal. It was $3 million over 3 years apart. The Mets were going to give him that. He's the best closer last year statistically, right? Yeah. So he just wanted out, and I think he wanted specifically to go to LA. And when a player has his mind made up like that, I mean, he's just going to use you to leverage himself to a better deal where he wants to go, not necessarily trying to get you to fight for him. I don't think that he necessarily did that. He just had his mind made up, and he's like, what, 69? Let's go. 69 to 66. What's the difference? Who cares? I want to be in LA.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Sorry, Hooks.
I was just going to say the weather difference. I mean, like it's like if you're loaded, LA is a great place to live. You don't want to be poor like me living in LA, but I mean, if you're living in the hills and all the money, I mean, it's a much better place. Taxes are high in New York. Taxes are higher in California. It's 6 of one, half a dozen other.
I think what rubbed some fans the wrong way, and I don't agree with this, but with the Dodgers signing Tanner Scott last year and still having to load up and get this Alexis Diaz deal, I don't think it's bad. I'm super envious. But, when you have such an influx in talent, and supposedly, and this will segue to our next thing, is the Dodgers just this acquisition of all this talent through trade, through development, and through free agency. There's a lot of envy, right? And that causes people to get super frustrated. And you look at this stuff and the fact that most teams most teams, wrongly, if they signed that Tanner Scott deal, which was 4 years, 72 million or whatever. And it did not. That first year was terrible. He was a terrible pitcher. Well, he had a lot of issues, but a lot of teams can't absorb another big contract, right? So that Tanner Scott was being paid like a closer. He had a bad year. So instead of hoping or that this thing rectifies, the Dodgers are like, nah, screw it, man. We'll just bump Tanner Scott to the 6th inning and load up Edwin Diaz. Alexis Diaz is his brother. That did play for the Dodgers. They're in the 9th. So, but going back to that, wave acquisition of talent, Tanner Skubal, right? So there's some rumors going around that the Dodgers may trade for him. He's got 1 year left, so he's a free agent after the year. It can be similar to what they did for what's his name out of not Blake Snell, Glasnow, where they traded for him and then signed him to an extension. What are you hearing, folks? How legitimate is this deal trade?
No, there's no chance. Skubal is not going to the Dodgers. That's just another Scott Boras guy, and they do not want to. Like, if they were going to sign, I mean, they're probably like the Tigers are. If they're going to sign Skubal, it's going to be a 6 years, $325 million. They're not signing him to a 10-year, $500 million deal. They're just not.
Did you hear anything of the sorts, Jorge? At the winter meetings, anything about this kind of deal or not?
No.
It kind of came up last minute.
Do you know the MO though of the Dodgers? If you look back 5-6 years, all the way to 2019, 2020, it's like, okay, who's the MVP of the year? Let's go sign him. And who's the MVP this year? Let's go sign him. Let's go get Betts. Boom. Let's go get Freeman. Boom. Let's go get Ohtani. Boom. What about Cy Youngs? Oh, Snell. Let's go get him. Who else got Cy Young we want? Oh, let's go get Glass now. He's got potential for Cy Young. So now it's like, who was the best closer? Oh, let's go get him. And then people come there. It's like, okay, we're going to give you all this money so you can play part-time because we're also not going to use you all year, right? No. We're gonna get you to injure yourself for about 3 months out of the season.
Yeah,
and then we'll bring you in when we need you. You take the first 3 months. We'll see you in July. That's kind of what they do. It's a great deal for these players.
Yeah. And it's not like that they're just doing it one specific way. They've leveraged their talent and their homegrown talent. And to get a lot of those, they did it for Betts. They've done it for potentially, I think, Tanner. I bet they make this trade. I know they don't deal with Boras, but if they had the right deal and they could trade some Emmett Sheehan and some other minor leaguers, I don't see how that would ever.
Yeah, you swear no by Boras, and I guess it really depends. Is Boras only going to represent the guys that are only after the money, right? The moment that Boras represents a guy that wants championships, then LA is going to have to be in the conversation because they'll give you that proposition. Hey, we don't care about your numbers in the past, and if you're okay with not winning Cy Youngs anymore because you won't have enough innings, we'll trade it for a championship. What do you say? So if they're after championships, they'll go to LA. But if they're after championships and not money, they're not going to sign with Boras, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and you guys act like the Dodgers are just guaranteed to win. Like they've won, the last three out of the last 5
years. Okay,
but
just gotta say it, don't you?
Baseball. There was 20 chances for the Blue Jays to beat the Dodgers. They just didn't, and the Dodgers just, it's not. Baseball is not. I don't care. I mean, the Mets didn't even make the playoffs and spent more money than the Dodgers. You're constant. I mean, you guys are the chumps of the week. So,
well,
all right, let's talk football real quick.
Listen, I'm a Blue Jays fan now.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs,
Canada, let's go.
Yeah.
So
So your Chiefs. Speaking of winners and multiple times Super Bowl, conference champions, top players, I saw that they've got the highest paid center And is it left guard or left tackle?
Right
In the
guard.
league? Right guard,
Yeah.
sorry. Highest paid kicker and Harrison Butker, right?
Yep.
And is Mahomes the highest paid quarterback?
No, he's like 10th or 11th, or he's way down there.
But he's got the highest contract though, the guarantee,
Yeah, just
right?
long term.
Yeah, right.
But I mean,
He's
he's not costing them the money. They just can't.
No.
Okay, so they can't get off the field. Their offensive line is trashed. They've lost both tackles. They've lost their highest paid right guard, and everybody else is the guys that couldn't win the left tackle position that they finally had to draft another one. Their offensive line is destroyed. Their defensive backs are destroyed. Nagy can't figure out how to run that offense, just like he couldn't do in Chicago. But here they are, no chance. I mean, like they got 16% chance to make the playoffs, but they're still favored against the 9-4, 10-4 Chargers. So
how's that?
Yeah. So
how is that possible?
Yeah. I mean,
let me ask you this: are they going to make the playoffs?
No. It would have to be extremely lucky. But like I said, their offensive line, their defensive backfield is just destroyed in injuries. So
and it seems
let's
like
talk about Mahomes and Pittsburgh.
Yeah. I actually saw a deal the other day that said, hey, the Jets call up and say, hey, we want to trade for Mahomes. And they're like, we'll give you 2 firsts this year, 2 firsts next year, and a first or a second in this year's or next year's draft. Would the Chiefs take it?
Let me ask you this though, before we go to the next topic. Mahomes, is this because he's kind of by his standard, he's still the GOAT, right? There's no question that. I'm not disputing that whatsoever. Just for argument's sake, is there a decline in production, or is this a product of the people around him are just subpar? And by subpar, I mean like really subpar, because this is like his 3rd consecutive year that's considered down by his measures, right?
Yeah.
I mean, is he aging poorly, or is this like could he rebound and have another most excellent season?
Yeah. So I talked to one of the guys I know is friends or is played football with Orlando Brown, who's with the Bengals now, and they said that Mahomes, like when he blocked, so the guy Orlando Brown went from the Bengals where he was blocking for Lamar, and then to the Chiefs blocking for Mahomes, and then to the Bengals blocking for Burrow, and he's like, I knew where Lamar was either going to be. He was either going to be in the pocket or he was running up the field. He's like, I know where Burrow's going to be. He's always sitting in the pocket, but you just can't block for Mahomes for a normal quarterback because you don't know where he's going to be. So I think that all the injuries, these offensive linemen are trying to figure out how to block for somebody that they've never blocked for.
Yeah, so it's got to be difficult.
Yeah, he's so athletic that you don't know. He probably doesn't even know what he's going to do, right? Like, I'm sure he's got a game plan, but when he sees it unfold, because he's so cerebral, and then, he can actually, do what he wants to do as opposed to 9.
Now, how long will it take somebody to figure it out? Because, listen, Orlando Brown, great pro, but he was terrible at OU. I mean, he was big and had a great presence, but he wasn't a smart player. He didn't make great plays. He wasn't dominating. Tons of mental mistakes, right? And then by the time he gets to Kansas City, he's a freaking all-pro.
Yeah.
So why do the guys that are there, how come they're not able to get it together?
Well, I think they've just it's been the injuries over all year. I mean, they lost Simmons. He had some family issues, so left for 3 or 4 games, and then he's gotten hurt since then, and he's out for the year. So it's just let's talk about
the consistency.
Let's talk about the Vikings, who had a big win last week.
Woo! Yeah, I got to be positive, right? So it's like, he played really well, 3 touchdowns, 22 yards total, whatever he threw for. Justin Jefferson had a great game, 2 catches, 11 yards. It was against the Commanders defense, and if everyone remembers, I did a little deep dive on the Commanders defense that week. They ranked they were at the bottom. I think they were 22nd or 25th in defense. So it's kind of like a, terrible defense. It's about momentum. I speak about that a lot. They did pretty well, shutting them out. That's exciting. But I do not hang in my hat. And, well, let's say this. KOC, he said without lack of better way, he said he dumbed down the game, right? And McCarthy, he can work on his feet, and he's got his busy feet and swinging his hips open. He can work on that in the offseason, but he dumbed down the play calling. I don't know, guys. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he does it next week, this week or whatever, and we'll see, maybe. But right now, I'm not a believer. I think it was just a perfect storm. He needs to do a better job of incorporating, he didn't throw the ball down the field. A lot of people look at it, he hit it up, Josh Oliver, their backup tight end, for a couple, and also TJ Hawkinson. If he can spread the ball downfield and throw maybe like a 45-yard dot to Jefferson, that would be something I would be able to start, feeling good about it. But no, there's nothing there. I say you run heavy for the rest of the season, wear out Jones, wear out Mason, and you build up a little bit of spurts of confidence in JJ McCarthy. Because I'm going to tell you something. I know you're shaking your head, Jorge. You're going to bury the kid if you go pass heavy, and then he turns into be another. What was your quarterbacks there? Justin Fields, or who was that other guy?
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's super in this kid's head, and I think, I'm not saying you don't, but you can't air it out 40 times a game. I think what they did was good, and just maybe 5 more passes next game this weekend. They can't do
this week. You need to air it out 45 times. Because you're going against one of the worst secondaries in the league.
Right. And I think in most circumstances, that would make sense. But if you watch what J.J. McCarthy does, he has no deep ball accuracy. He threw it downfield a couple of times this last game, and he aired it out. He threw it over 2 Jordan Addisons. He would have had to stand on stilts to go and get the ball.
This is going to be easier than practice. This is the time where he can get it together. It's going to be easier than practice. Like, I guarantee you his practice squad is tougher than what he's going to face this Sunday.
Jeez, Pete. The fact that we're even saying it like this is so sad. But
Cowboys are only favored by 5.5 at home. That means that, the Vikings, the thing I love that they're doing is they're moving themselves to kind of like the middle of the pack, so they'll get a shitty draft pick.
Yeah,
5.5. So Vegas expects them to score 65 points. Wow. Okay, that's good.
Let's talk about the Steelers and their 1.5 game lead.
Listen, it's a weird way to get to 9-8, man, because I'm telling you, I had no hope for this week. I don't know how they came out with this win. I guess because they all went and did a kumbaya at Aaron Rodgers' house and watched film till 3. I don't know what they did. He's like got everybody together watching film. All of a sudden, now they're throwing and catching the ball. So I did not expect what happened. And then what happens is this week, who do we got?
Got Miami at home.
Favorite. We're going to lose on Monday night to Miami. That's what's going to happen.
Imagine Sunday night and Monday night. I got to watch y'all's
fellow
teams.
Loser mentality. I appreciate it. Hooks, you have no idea what it's like to live in stench like Jorge and I do, with constant week-over-week disappointment. But maybe one day you'll come down at our level.
So.
Yeah, and then after Miami, let me see. We got Detroit, so that's a loss. We got Shedeur Sanders with nothing to lose. That's probably going to be a loss.
Now
we might not even make it to 9-8 this year.
Yeah.
Now you're 9-7.
Yeah, and then we get Baltimore at home, and they're going to be mad. I think that's going to be the game that might determine the division. So we're probably going to end up below 500 this year. I was hopeful for 9-8. We make the jokes about 9-8 and bouncing after the first game in the playoffs. I think this is
clip this. Tua probably suffers another concussion this week. let's say Tua will suffer another concussion with that
No.
pass rush. They're going to get to him.
That's scary, man, because that could cost him his career. You can't.
Yeah.
The league won't
Yeah.
allow it. They'll shut him down.
Yeah.
That's scary stuff. I remember seeing that when he.
Yeah, does CeeDee Lamb play this week?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
No, he's
ruled out. Okay.
Listen, that was he had a concussion like Tua had. Like I think they called it cerebral. Yeah, he's
stuff.
probably out for a little bit. I mean, but
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe he's tough and says I'm good.
But yeah, it doesn't. I think the league's going to shut it down. But yeah. Anyway,
All right. So who's your chump of the week?
I'll kick it off. I said it at the start of the show. I'm going to stick to it. They're dividing the fans, but there's nothing. So my chumps of the week are the Cincinnati Reds fans. They said it before. Where are you going to go? And they said it today. They said it as Jorge heard. They're just trying to sign him for seats, and Jorge sat with the guy for 45 minutes. Chump of the week is me. I stick to it.
My chump of the week is those people, the Mets fans who have hope. I'm not one of those anymore. Let's go Blue Jays. But how do you go spend $800 million signing Soto last year? I get it. It was a tough year. You didn't make the playoffs. And then you're just letting it all fall apart. We got Devin Williams. Like, he was very ineffective in New York. He was ineffective the last month of the season 2 years ago. So what the hell is Devin Williams going to do? We let Nimmo go. We let Alonso walk. We're just not trying to get better. If it's a situation where they're trying to fix the culture in the clubhouse, you still got McNeil over there. I don't know what's happening. You got money. Go spend it and do it. If that's the route you decided to go 2 years ago, spending the money, then continue spending the money until you fix it, not just letting your assets walk. So chump of the week is those Mets fans. Let's go Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you change teams.
I do whatever I want.
All right. So my chump of the week is the media and people suggesting that Bellinger and Scooball are going to the Dodgers. It's not happening. I'm telling you, you just clip it. The Dodgers are not signing a Boris player unless it's at a discount or it's somebody that wants to win a championship.
No way in hell.
And we know that Scooball is not about winning championships. He's about getting paid. Can't blame him. And we know Bellinger has gone on this ride with Boris for the last 5 years already. And he's going to sell. And I hope, because I really like Bellinger, I hope that he gets a 5 or 6 or 7 year deal, because he's going to ride that horse until they can't ride him no more. So
the fact that they could trade for him and where would he'd be their fourth best pitcher? Are you kidding me? Really. Because Yamamoto, Ohtani, then Glasnow, then Snell, then it happened. Clip that.
He would be their best pitcher. Like, Scooball is one of the best. He's Scooball and Skeen are the two best.
Now, somebody in the hallway said that New York has the capital to make a run at Scooball. Do you see that happening? The Mets, that is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Mets would sell their whole farm system to get him.
And a golden toilet. Anyway, that's where our season went.
Very good.
One last thing I want to ask you about before we part. WBC got so much media attention. It was like a frenzy over there. Every country had so much coverage. It was really cool to see. They had a whole hallway to themselves at the meetings. It was pretty cool. Do you think that the World Baseball Classic is good for baseball?
Oh, yes.
100%.
Okay. Is it because of the dollars, because of the eyes, and it brings the baseball to the world?
Yeah, everything.
Or is it good for players, for the league here locally, in the States?
I can't find one bad thing about it. Hell, the last thing was Ohtani versus Trout. Remember that show off? That
was amazing.
It was, but also you think back about these guys get to play with their it's kind of weird. I mean, like, some of them end up playing for a weird country because of some however way they got there. But the intensity, even though, your favorite player, Jorge, Javier Baez, wasn't that where that Yadimir Molina threw out a guy and Javier didn't look and made the no look tag?
He's one of my most hated players. Who's that?
Yeah.
That's the way that Jorge plays. I guarantee you, if you still in softball, he would have used that play.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That's why him and Javier Baez are so tight. They have similar games.
Yeah.
Did you see some of the players that are playing for Puerto Rico this year? Riley Green, Nolan Arenado, and George Springer.
So the answer before we get off here, the answer to your question is it's really good for everybody except for the players that get hurt. And I wish that there was a way around that, because that is very sad. If it's your
Edwin
team
Diaz,
player,
right?
What's that?
It was Edwin Diaz that did the celebration at home plate
2 years ago. Yeah. And that was a freak accident. But somebody was excited about the pitching, how stacked the U.S. is on pitching and all this and all that, or the Dominican Republic too. And I'm thinking, come to WBC when the rounds start here, Puerto Rico. These guys are not going to pitch 6 innings.
No,
they're really not. So how important is the starting pitching on these WBC games, especially the ones before the finals?
Yeah, they're still
these guys are getting ramped up.
They're
not going to pitch.
Yeah, like spring training, right?
Yeah.
So 25, 50, 70, the pitch limit. Yeah, absolutely. No, I can't find one bad thing.
But it's always fun, nevertheless. I think, I don't know if you guys can make it this year to at least one of those games, but I tell you, man, it's getting better and better. The last tournament, when it came down to Miami, that thing was amazing.
Where was it? Where's the game? We need to look at that schedule. Let's do that, and we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, they'll end in Miami at some point. But some of the teams now are playing more overseas before they get to the finals in Miami, as opposed to playing some of the quarterfinals, semifinals, and all that like they did before. So maybe I'll go to Puerto Rico and catch a game. So we'll see. All right, man. Well, thanks a lot. Any final thoughts before we head out?
No. Let's go.
Ask questions, guys.
We appreciate all of our listeners and those of you interacting with us on Instagram and YouTube. You can find us on the First and Inches podcast on YouTube, firstandinches.com, on your favorite podcast app with Apple or Spotify. Until next week, we see you guys. Have a great day.